Do you feel like you are an emotional mess after interactions with your unhealthy, toxic, or narcissistic ex? In this video, you're going to learn how to take your power back and no longer be controlled by your ex and those pesky emotions that they make you feel. Welcome back to Parenting Mindfully with me, Dr. Naila Hudani, where I help parents in unhealthy co-parenting situations take back their power so they can live a more fulfilling life and nurture a thriving family. Today, I'm going to share with you why your unhealthy co-parent does not know how to manage their emotions, some of the tricks that they use to get you emotionally off balance, and how you can win at the emotional game. Now, I realize that I typically begin my videos with focus on why unhealthy or toxic or narcissistic people behave a certain way. And there's a reason for that. When we understand the type of people we are dealing with as co-parents, it becomes much easier for us to actually deal with them. I spent a long time believing that if the unhealthy co-parent in my life just understood what was good for the child, they wouldn't behave this way. It took me a long time to realize that these unhealthy individuals do not think logically or rationally. They operate from a very different mindset than healthy individuals. So we cannot approach co-parenting with them in the same way we would approach it for someone like ourselves. Our tactics need to be completely different. Stick around till the end of this video to learn 3 ways to better manage your emotions when dealing with your unhealthy, toxic, or narcissistic co-parent. So let's talk about why they behave this way. I've used this phrase before, and it's so true. Your unhealthy, toxic, or narcissistic co-parent has the emotional intelligence of a toddler, maybe even worse than a toddler, because toddlers have the capacity to learn about their emotions, whereas these unhealthy people are avoiding feeling negatively at all costs. And because they are emotionally akin to a toddler, your unhealthy co-parent probably struggles to manage their emotions effectively. Most of the time, they may seem relatively cool and collected, and that's because they found it helpful to wear a mask that does not allow them to show any emotions to the outside world. And if they do display emotions, they're not likely to be true emotions. They're either mimicking emotions that other people have, or they're using emotions to serve a specific purpose or meet a specific goal of theirs. But this mask that they wear, it's impossible to keep up at all times. So every now and then, when they get triggered, they may display intense emotional reactions, such as anger, frustration, defensiveness. And without the ability to calm themselves down, this just spirals out of control. This emotional volatility can lead to unpredictable and emotionally charged interactions between you two. Part of the reason that they have difficulty in managing emotions is because unhealthy, toxic, or narcissistic people have a complete lack of self-awareness. They have little to no self-esteem. Even though they like to act like they believe they are the most amazing people in the world, they don't have it. This is why they're constantly on the lookout for someone who is weak and vulnerable, who will make them feel good about themselves because they don't feel that way themselves. Because of this lack of self-awareness and self-esteem, they have no idea how damaged they are on the inside. This also means that they have no idea how they feel most of the time. And when negative emotions arise, they avoid them like the plague. So this often leads to outbursts of emotions from them. It is so important for us to learn about our emotions, learn that it's okay to feel these negative emotions, and learn to release the emotions. But they never learned this skill. As a doctor of child study and human development, I know two of the primary ways that we learn as children is through seeing behaviors modeled for us and through having conversations about behaviors. The same goes for emotions. We start learning how to manage our emotions at an early age. However, if our parents or other key figures in our lives didn't know how to manage their emotions, they probably were not able to teach us how to do it either. So if your unhealthy co-parent cannot manage their emotions or has angry or irrational outbursts, it may be a result of their parents' own lack of emotional intelligence or regulation. It's also likely that as a child, your unhealthy co-parent learned that it was unsafe for them to display certain emotions because it may have resulted in backlash from their own parents. And so instead, they found it to be more adaptive to repress those emotions. Some people may also have difficulty in managing their emotions as a response to not wanting to experience the emotions. Oftentimes, when we want to avoid something, we put up defense mechanisms. But sometimes those defenses fail, resulting in these emotions coming out all at once. We are inherently emotional creatures. However, if we attempt to avoid emotions, we will no doubt be filling up a dam that has a limited room to grow, and it will eventually just burst open. Many parents share with me that their unhealthy ex will go from 0 to 60 emotionally at the most neutral of situations. This drastic change may occur because of a perceived slight or injury to their ego that they simply cannot manage. It's not that we meant to trigger them or hurt them in any way, but they perceived it as something that they could not deal with. And so it caused them to be triggered. One parent shared with me that their unhealthy ex started crying in a public space when their child was not assigned to the teacher that they wanted in school. Another one shared that their child's refusal to hug them during a transition led to an angry outburst from the unhealthy co-parent. Examples of this are endless. So if you've dealt with unexplained outbursts from your ex, please do share them in the comments below. Our unhealthy co-parents are pretty good at repressing their emotions for a period of time, but they are also good at triggering emotions within us. They want us to get emotional because it gives them supply or satisfaction that they want, and they want to feel like they can control us in this way. It feeds their energy. It helps them feel powerful. They use multiple techniques to achieve this goal. For example, they try to demean us or put us down in some way, trying to make us feel small and unworthy. Really, this behavior is just a projection on how they feel about themselves. But because they cannot admit it to themselves that they feel small and unworthy, they try to make us feel small and unworthy instead. And in this line, they also make it seem like they are so much better, so much more superior than us or than anyone else even. Even if they have little to no accomplishments, they act like they've done so much. You might remember small behaviors like this from when you were in a relationship with them. You'd take care of 99% of the housework, and then they would take out the trash or do something small, and they acted like it was a big, huge thing that they had accomplished or done. They might also gaslight you in order to trigger you, trying to make you believe a version of reality that's different than something that actually happened, or flat out lying about what actually happened. They might demand information from you, but be unwilling to share that same information in return. This is another way that they exert their power and control over us. These unhealthy, toxic, or narcissistic individuals have spent a long time learning about the things that trigger us. And so they have all the tools that they need to get us on uneven footing. And because some of you have been dealing with this type of mistreatment for years, you are likely easily triggered by it and have a very hard time managing your own emotions in these situations. So any one of the emotions sets you off and triggers you into a spiral of anxiety, anger, and a whole host of negative emotions. If you can relate to this, type yes in the comments below. So let's discuss the 3 things you can do to learn how to manage your emotions during encounters with your ex, who has no idea how to manage their own emotions. First, and this may seem pretty obvious, but there are many adults who don't know how to do this. You need to learn about emotions yourself. The way many toddlers learn about emotions today is that they always have emotions inside them. And sometimes those emotions become very big and need help to be able to calm down those big emotions. Many parents I speak to are easily able to identify the very strong negative emotions, but they are not aware of what they are feeling at many other times unless I really push them to reflect on their emotions. So becoming conscious of our emotions, even when they are small, is an important skill that we need to develop. And when you're dealing with an unhealthy, toxic, or narcissistic co-parent, you don't want your emotions to get big, because our big emotional reactions give our unhealthy parent the supply or the reaction that they want from us. So you need to learn to know what you are feeling before those emotions become big, so you can calm them down and not give them that big reaction. The next step is to identify your triggers. We've already discussed that your unhealthy co-parent has spent a long time learning about you and your triggers and is using those triggers against you. So it's now your turn to learn about those triggers, because once you know what they are and how your ex tries to goad you into a reaction, you can come up with a different plan and learn how you want to respond. Remember the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is something we do almost unconsciously. It's quick and instantaneous. It's like the knee-jerk reflex when the doctor taps your knee. We do it without thinking through what we're doing or the long-term consequences of it. And it's often driven by our deeper beliefs, biases, or habits. When we respond, we do it more slowly. We consider with our conscious mind what the situation is, what needs to be said, if anything at all, and what we actually feel about it, or if we should change our feelings about the situation. So we might come up with a script for ourselves. When my unhealthy co-parent does this in an attempt to trigger me, I'm going to choose to respond this way. Or you might choose to not respond at all and just walk away from it. Which brings me to my last tip to help you better manage your emotions with your unhealthy, toxic, or narcissistic co-parent. And that is to limit your communication with them. Your unhealthy co-parent wants to keep you involved in a conversation with them because it gives them more opportunities to push your buttons and trigger you. So take the opportunity away from them. Discuss the things that need to be discussed with them about the kids. Everything else, just ignore it. Now, I've had many parents tell me that their court order says something about responding to the other parent's communication within 24 hours. And so every time their ex sends them a message, they feel that they need to respond. But if your ex is not asking you about something specific relating to the kids, then you don't actually need to respond to it. What the courts want to see is that they want to see the parents are able to co-parent. The operative word here is parent. So again, if it's not about the kids, don't engage in conversations with them where they're disparaging you, putting you down, trying to goad you into a conversation about something that's unrelated to the kids. So let's review. We discussed why your unhealthy, toxic, or narcissistic parent has difficulty managing their emotions. Some of the tricks that they use to trigger you and get you emotionally off balance. And 3 very concrete ways you can start to learn to manage your own emotions and take your power back from them. I'd like to have you take a moment to comment below and let me know if these tips are helpful and what you want to learn more about. Your comments and the feedback will not only help me create and share content that is helpful to you here, but it also helps boost the YouTube algorithm so that more parents who are in similar situations can receive this information as well and benefit from these videos. Now, parenting is hard. Co-parenting is harder. And when you are co-parenting with an unhealthy, toxic, or narcissistic person, it can leave you feeling utterly drained. If you need extra help to take back your power, check out my free meditation on resilience and self-empowerment, navigating co-parenting challenges. You can find a link to do that in the caption below. And if you're ready to write the next chapter of your life, where your co-parent's nonsense no longer affects you, and you are free to live a fulfilling life and nurture a thriving family, reach out to me today to learn more about how I can help you. A link to do that is in the caption below as well. Finally, if you found this video to be helpful, please do like it, share it, and subscribe to see more.